I never thought selling an old couch would turn into a nightmare. But then again, I never thought Myspace would be the place where I'd meet someone who would make me question every decision I'd ever made. It started simple enough. I was moving out of my apartment in Chicago, and I needed to get rid of some furniture fast. The couch, a coffee table, a bookshelf, stuff I didn't want to haul across the country. I'd tried Craigslist, but no bites. Then, in a moment of desperation, I had the brilliant idea to switch my Myspace profile to public and slap a furniture for sale message in my bio. "Message me if interested," I wrote, along with a few photos of the items. Within hours, I got a message from a guy named Greg. His profile was bare. No photos, no friends listed, just a generic username. But he seemed normal enough in his messages. He asked about the couch, we haggled a bit on the price, and he agreed to meet me at a coffee shop near my place to check it out. I'll admit, I was nervous. Meeting a stranger from the internet? Not exactly my idea of a good time, but I figured it was a public place, and I wasn't giving him my address. What could go wrong? Greg showed up right on time. He was tall, with a scruffy beard and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. He didn't say much, just nodded when I pointed out the couch in the photos. He handed me cash, exact change, which I thought was weird, and said he'd arrange to pick it up later. "Cool," I said, stuffing the money into my bag. "Just let me know when." He nodded again, and that was it. No small talk, no awkward goodbyes. He just walked out, leaving me sitting there with my iced coffee and a vague sense of unease. I didn't think much of it until later that night. I was packing up the last of my boxes when my phone buzzed. It was a Myspace notification. I opened it, expecting another inquiry about the bookshelf. Instead, my blood ran cold. "Nice place you have," the message read. "See you soon." My heart dropped into my stomach. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. How did he know where I lived? I never gave him my address. I never even told him my last name. I scrambled to check my profile, my privacy settings, anything that might explain how he'd found me. But everything was locked down. My address wasn't listed anywhere. Then it hit me. The photos. I'd taken the pictures of the furniture in my living room. In the background there were windows, a street sign, a distinctive red awning from the cafe across the street. It wouldn't take a genius to figure out where I lived if they knew the area. I felt sick. I grabbed my phone and called my best friend, Jenna. "Jenna, I think I messed up," I said, my voice trembling. "What happened?" she asked, instantly alert. I told her everything. The Myspace post, the meeting with Greg, the message. "You need to call the police," she said immediately. "And tell them what? That some guy sent me a creepy message? They're not gonna do anything." "Then stay with me tonight," she insisted. "Don't stay there alone." I packed a bag and left, locking the door behind me. But even at Jenna's place, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow felt like it was moving. The next morning, I went back to my apartment, half expecting to find the door kicked in or the furniture gone. But everything was exactly as I'd left it. I thought maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe Greg was just some weirdo trying to freak me out. But then I got another message. "You left in a hurry last night. Don't worry, I'll wait." I didn't wait around to see what he meant. I called the police, filed a report, and stayed with Jenna until my move-out date. I didn't sell the rest of the furniture. I just left it behind. It's been years since that night, but I still think about Greg sometimes. I never heard from him again, but I also never found out who he was or what he wanted. All I know is this: the internet is a dangerous place, and sometimes the scariest people are the ones you never see coming. And that's a lesson I'll never forget. You ever look back at a moment and think, yeah, that could have been it. That could have been the one that ended me. For me, it started with Myspace. I was a sophomore in college, broke, desperate for something, anything that looked good on a resume. And that's when I found the internship. It wasn't on some official site. It wasn't through my school. It was just posted in a Myspace bulletin from a mutual I didn't even remember adding. It said, "Looking for a social media intern. Paid position, flexible hours, Work directly with an independent media firm. Room for growth. Great experience for students. I clicked on it because I was bored. But once I read through the details, it actually sounded kind of legit. The company was called Glass Hollow Media. Never heard of it. But they had a slick-looking Myspace page. Dark, moody, very Vice magazine meets art student Tumblr, and some clips embedded from what looked like short documentaries and web ads. It even listed a couple of local brands I recognized. And the best part? It said, pay starts at $20 per hour. No experience required. Must be discreet. I was 20, had zero real work experience, and was working weekends at a sandwich shop where I regularly cried into the pickle slicer. I was sold. I emailed the contact on the listing, some guy named Mark, and within an hour, I got a reply. Super professional. Said he liked my writing samples, was impressed with my portfolio. Asked if I'd be available for a quick interview later that week. That should have been my first red flag, because I didn't have a portfolio. But I was too flattered to question it. I asked where the office was, and he said he'd send me the address the morning of. Said they worked out of a hybrid studio space that changed locations depending on the client. Totally normal for independent media, he said. That was red flag number 2. The day of the interview, I woke up early. Got dressed like I was going to meet a recruiter at Spotify. Checked my phone. There was the address. I punched it into Google Maps, and it didn't exist. Not like, doesn't show up, didn't exist. Like, this address literally isn't real. I double-checked, triple-checked. Eventually, I texted him, trying to sound casual. Hey, the address didn't pop up for me. Just wanted to confirm I got it right? His reply came back instantly. Oh, sorry about that. We're using a temporary space today. It's actually my house. I totally get if that's weird. But it's just me here. Feel free to bring a friend if you want. That gave me pause. I showed the text to my roommate and she immediately said, absolutely not. But I brushed it off. I told her I'd just text the second I got there, and if anything felt weird, I'd leave. I wish I could go back in time and slap myself. Because when I got to the house, this quiet, middle-of-nowhere, ranch-style place at the edge of town, the door was already open. And Mark? He was waiting inside. The first thing he said to me wasn't, hello. It wasn't, thanks for coming, or, sorry about the address confusion. It was, how good are you at keeping secrets? He said it half-jokingly, like he was trying to be cute, like it was some quirky little inside joke. But I didn't laugh. I just kind of stood there, one foot still outside. He noticed. Sorry, he said quickly, waving his hand. Bad joke. Come in, shoes off if you don't mind. The house was weird, not dirty, not messy, but off. Everything was too clean. No clutter, no personality, just minimalist furniture and blank white walls. Not a single photo, not a plant, not a clock. It looked like someone moved in just to take pictures for a furniture catalog, and never left. He gestured to a small table in what looked like a makeshift studio room with a camera tripod set up near the corner. There were no lights turned on, just natural light pouring through the blinds, casting weird stripes on the wall. He offered me water. I declined. I kept thinking about that first question. How good are you at keeping secrets? We sat down. Mark looked different than his Myspace photos. Older, for one. And not in a bad lighting way, like his photos were from a decade ago. He wore a tight gray t-shirt that clung a little too much to his chest. Pale skin, thin lips, hair slicked back, like he'd put way too much effort into looking casual. I tried to stay focused. So, I said, forcing some confidence into my voice, can you tell me a little more about the position? He smiled, too wide. Yeah. You'd be helping manage our Myspace pages, message outreach, client maintenance, reposting media kits, that kind of stuff. That all sounded normal enough. But then he added, we also do some experimental branding work. Stuff we don't always put on the main page. Fringe projects, underground promo, niche audiences. I nodded like I understood. I didn't. He continued. I need someone who can filter things, handle weirdness, stay focused, not get rattled. I was trying to keep up. So like, edgy marketing? He grinned. Exactly. Not everything we do is for public eyes. That's why I asked about secrets. The word secrets hit different this time. He leaned back, fingers steepled like some kind of low-budget Bond villain. Then he opened a drawer behind him and pulled out a manila folder. "You'll need to sign an NDA," he said, "just to keep things tight. You understand." I hesitated. He noticed. "If it makes you feel better, you can take it home. Read through it." I nodded, reaching for the folder. That's when I saw what else was in the drawer. Photos. Not like vacation pictures. These were printed screenshots. My Myspace profile. My old blog posts. Pictures of me. Posts from years ago I forgot even existed. One of them was a photo of me at a high school theater banquet. A picture I never posted online. I froze. My heart started pounding in my ears. Mark didn't notice. Or maybe he did. "Just proof we do our homework," he said casually, shutting the drawer. Then he smiled again. "I don't bring just anyone into this." I stood up, trying to keep my voice even. "I think I'll look over this at home." He nodded slowly. "Smart girl." But as I turned toward the door, he said something I'll never forget. "Most people don't make it past this part." I paused. "Excuse me?" He just smiled. "Let me know what you decide." I got in my car, shaking. I drove 2 blocks before pulling over and throwing the folder into a dumpster. The following day, his Myspace page was gone. Deleted, like it never existed. Same with the job posting, the clips, the contacts. All gone. I never heard from him again. I don't know what kind of internship I almost got pulled into. But something about that house, that man, those photos, it wasn't marketing. It wasn't media. It was something else. Something I wasn't supposed to see. And honestly, I think the only reason I got out was because I said I'd think about it. You remember when every other guy on Myspace had a band? Like, the kind where their profile song was always something they recorded in a garage with half-tuned guitars and too much reverb? Yeah, that's where this starts. I was 18, fresh out of high school, living in a boring suburb where absolutely nothing ever happened. So when this guy named Jake messaged me, lead singer of a local band called Midnight Feedback, I was kind of flattered. He'd seen one of my comments on some mutual's page and said I had the exact look they needed for a music video shoot. I looked at his page. Pretty typical. Black and white profile pic with eyeliner, quote from Nietzsche in the bio, half-naked mirror selfies, embedded videos of his band playing in some dive bar. Honestly, not my type, but I was bored. And hey, a music video? He said it would be super chill. They were shooting at an old farmhouse one of the band members' cousins owned. A little creepy, he admitted, but it'll look awesome on camera. He said they'd have food, drinks, and a few other girls there. Just some fun, indie promo type stuff. Very mysterious girl in the forest vibes. I asked who else was coming, and he rattled off a couple usernames I vaguely recognized. All seemed like people I'd seen around online. It didn't feel dangerous. It just felt low budget. So I said yes. He told me to meet them at a parking lot off a rural exit. They'd caravan together since the farmhouse was hard to find with GPS. Okay. Weird, but not sketchy. Yet weird. I showed up just before sunset. There were already 3 cars parked, and a couple girls standing around talking, dressed in all black with messy hair, so I felt like I was in the right place. Jake showed up 5 minutes later in a beat-up van with the band logo spray-painted on the side. He climbed out wearing a mesh shirt, a leather vest, and what looked like custom fangs. I thought it was a joke, like a costume. Spoiler, it wasn't. He was dead serious. "This shoot is all about transformation," he said. "Decay, beauty, violence." I remember thinking, okay, edgy, but whatever. We're making art. We got into our cars and followed him for about 20 minutes down winding back roads. Then we hit gravel, then dirt, then forest. And then the house. It wasn't a farmhouse. It was more like a rotting shell. 2 stories, missing shingles, 1 shutter barely hanging on, overgrown weeds, busted porch steps, one window completely boarded up. The kind of place that says, if you go inside, something is going to happen to you. But we went inside. Of course we did. Inside it was even worse. No furniture, just dust, stained floors, and this overwhelming smell. Mold, metal, something faintly sweet. Jake acted like it was totally normal, said it was perfectly abandoned. One of the girls, Alyssa, I think, asked where the bathroom was. Jake just laughed. Out back, you'll figure it out. Charming. They herded us into the main room, where someone had rigged up a couple of old stage lights on metal poles, plugged into a generator buzzing out front. Jake clapped his hands like a director. All right, let's get you into wardrobe. Wardrobe was a box of random clothes and torn black lace, like literally trash. Smelled like it came from a thrift store's dumpster. I played along, slipped on this weird shredded dress over my clothes. He handed me a fake crown made of barbed wire and doll parts. I asked if it would poke me. He said, pain cells. I laughed. He didn't. Alyssa whispered, I think he's serious. I was starting to think she was right. The shoot began. Jake's bandmate stood behind the camera, filming us girls walking slowly through the house, down the hallway, sitting on the floor with blank expressions. He kept yelling things like, more dead eyes, less dignity, you're being sacrificed, own it. I was half creeped out, half laughing to myself, until they took us into the basement. And I'm not exaggerating, I didn't want to go. None of us did. The stairs were steep, rotted, and felt like they would collapse under our feet. The basement was lit by one flickering utility bulb hanging from a cord. The walls were lined with mirrors, just dozens of mirrors, all cracked, all dusty, and scrawled on the back wall, in what looked like black paint, or something worse, were the words, "You're all already gone." Jake thought it was cool, said it was part of the concept, that the final shot would be us girls standing in a circle, holding candles, summoning ourselves. Alyssa whispered again, "This isn't a video, this is a fetish." We all got quiet. Because yeah, it was. That's when I decided I was done. I turned, started walking up the stairs. Jake snapped, "What are you doing?" I didn't even answer, just kept moving. He chased after me, voice suddenly sharp. "No one leaves before we wrap. That's not how this works." That's when I ran. Didn't even wait for the other girls. Didn't care. I hit the front door and sprinted for my car, heart slamming out of my chest. Got inside, locked it, peeled out down that dirt road so fast I fishtailed. I looked in the rear view. Jake was standing on the porch, still wearing the fangs, smiling, like this was part of the show. 2 days later, I logged onto Myspace to warn the others. His band page? Gone. Like it never existed. No midnight feedback. No Jake. No photos. Just a dead link and a blank profile. I don't know what I almost got dragged into that night. If it was just a messed up art kid with boundary issues or something deeper, darker. But I never did another video shoot again. And now? If you message me on any social media platforms talking about pain, decay, or indie fashion, I don't respond. I block. Immediately. Because I still see that flickering basement bulb in my nightmares. And that message on the wall. You're all already gone. Yeah. No thanks. It all started with a song. I was scrolling through Myspace, bored out of my mind, when I stumbled across a profile with a playlist that stopped me in my tracks. It was full of bands I loved. The Cure, Joy Division, Susie and the Banshees. Stuff most people my age didn't even know existed. I clicked on his profile, and there he was. Dark hair, sharp jawline, and this brooding look in his eyes that made him seem like he'd stepped straight out of a Tim Burton movie. His name was Adrian. I didn't usually message strangers, but something about him made me throw caution to the wind. "Hey," I typed, "your music taste is amazing. How do you even know these bands?" He replied almost instantly, Glad someone appreciates it. Most people just ask if I'm depressed. We started talking after that. At first, it was just about music, but then it turned into deeper conversations about life, dreams, and the things that kept us up at night. Adrian was different from anyone I'd ever met. He was thoughtful, intense, and had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the world who truly understood him. After a few weeks, he told me he was planning to move to my town. "I've been wanting to get out of this place for a while," he said, "and now I have a reason." I didn't ask what he meant by that. I didn't need to. The night before he was supposed to arrive, I logged onto Myspace to send him a message. But when I searched for his profile, it was gone. I refreshed the page, thinking it was a glitch. Nothing. I searched his name, his username, even the bands he liked. His profile had vanished without a trace. I felt sick. Had I imagined him? Was this some kind of cruel joke? I tried to convince myself he'd just deleted his account. Maybe he'd changed his mind about moving. Maybe he'd met someone else. But then the messages started. The first one came the next morning. It was from an account with no name, no photo, and no friends. The username was just a string of numbers, like it had been randomly generated. "Good morning, Lily." I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. How did they know my name? I didn't respond. I told myself it was just a spam account, some bot that had scraped my info. But then another message came. "I hope you slept well. You looked so peaceful last night." My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone about my insomnia, not even Adrian. I blocked the account, but the messages kept coming. Each one was from a different profile, all of them blank, all of them knowing things they shouldn't. "Your favorite coffee shop is closing soon. You should visit one last time. You always wear that red sweater when you're sad. Are you sad, Lily?" I'm outside. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by my window, staring at the street below, waiting for something, or someone to appear. The next morning, I got a message from a new account. This one had a photo. It was a picture of my house. I called the police, but they didn't take me seriously. "It's probably just a prank," they said. "Change your passwords and block the accounts." But it wasn't that simple. The messages kept coming, each one more personal than the last. They knew my schedule, my habits, even the things I'd never told anyone. Then, one night, I got a message that made my blood run cold. "I never left, Lily. I've been here the whole time." I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then, I remembered something Adrian had said during one of our conversations. "I've always been good at hiding," he'd told me. "Sometimes, I think I'm invisible." I didn't know what he meant at the time, but now, I think I do. Adrian wasn't moving to my town. He was already here, and he wasn't going anywhere. I've always been a little too trusting. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's the truth. I like to think the best of people, even when I probably shouldn't. That's why, when I decided to sell my old couch on Facebook Marketplace, I didn't think twice about meeting the buyer in person. Big mistake. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I'd posted the couch earlier that week. It was a decent piece of furniture. Gray, sectional, barely used. But I was moving into a smaller apartment and needed to downsize. The responses came flooding in almost immediately. Most of them were the usual lowballers or people asking if I'd deliver it for free. I wouldn't. But one guy seemed legit. His name was Mark, and he sent a polite message asking if the couch was still available. We chatted for a bit, and he agreed to meet me at a coffee shop near my place to check it out. I figured a public place was safe enough. I even brought a friend along just in case. When Mark showed up, he seemed normal, mid-30s, clean-cut, friendly. He inspected the couch, asked a few questions, and then handed me the cash without haggling. Easy transaction. "Thanks," he said, shaking my hand. "I'll have my buddy come by with a truck later to pick it up." I handed him my phone number so he could text me when they were on their way. He smiled, nodded, and left. That should have been the end of it. But later that night, as I was settling in to watch a movie, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Nice place you have. See you soon." My blood ran cold. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. I didn't recognize the number, but there was no mistaking the implication. He'd been to my apartment. He knew where I lived. But how? I racked my brain, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. I hadn't given him my address. We'd met at a coffee shop, not my apartment. The only thing I'd given him was my phone number, and that didn't have my address attached to it, unless... I opened Facebook Marketplace and checked my listing. That's when I saw it. In the description, I'd written, "Located in the Greenfield Apartments complex. Must pick up." I felt sick. I'd given him enough information to find me. I texted my friend who'd been with me earlier, and she came over right away. We called the police, but they said there wasn't much they could do without more evidence. "Just keep your doors locked and call us if anything happens," the officer said. That night, I barely slept. Every noise outside my door made me jump. I kept imagining him standing there, waiting for the right moment to strike. The next morning, I got another text. "You shouldn't have called the cops." I blocked the number, but the damage was done. I felt violated, like my safe space had been invaded. I ended up moving out of that apartment a few months later. I didn't tell anyone except my closest friends, and I made sure my new address wasn't listed anywhere online. To this day, I don't know if Mark ever came back, but I do know this. I'll never sell anything on Facebook Marketplace again, and I'll never forget that text. "Nice place you have. See you soon." It's been years, but those words still haunt me. I hadn't thought about Sarah in years, not since middle school, when we were inseparable. We'd spend every afternoon together, riding bikes, trading CDs, and talking about everything and nothing. But then her family moved away, and we lost touch. Life moved on, and Sarah became a distant memory. That's why it was such a shock when I got the friend request. It was late, and I was scrolling through Myspace, half asleep, when the notification popped up. "Sarah Johnson wants to be your friend." My heart skipped a beat. It couldn't be her, could it? I clicked on the profile, and there she was. Same bright smile, same freckles, same mischievous glint in her eyes. I accepted the request and sent her a message. "Sarah? Is that really you?" Her reply came almost instantly. "Hey, stranger. Long time no see." We started chatting after that, catching up on everything we'd missed. She told me about her life in the new town, her job, her dog. It was like no time had passed at all. But there was something off. At first, I couldn't put my finger on it. It was little things, like how she never mentioned specific places or people, or how she always seemed to know exactly what I was thinking, like she could read my mind. Then, one night, I had a dream about her. We were back in middle school, sitting under our favorite tree, laughing about something stupid. But then her face changed. Her smile faded, and her eyes went blank. "You forgot about me," she said. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding. That's when it hit me. Sarah wasn't supposed to be here. I remembered now. She died in a car accident a few years after she moved away. I'd seen it in the news, but I'd pushed it out of my mind, too young to process the loss. I didn't know what to do. I told myself it was just a coincidence, that someone had made a fake profile using her photos. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. The messages kept coming. "Remember when we used to sneak out at night? You were the only one who really understood me. I miss you." I tried to block her, but the account kept coming back. Every time I deleted her, she'd reappear, like she was haunting me. Then, one night, I got a message that made my blood run cold. "I'm outside." I didn't want to look, but I couldn't help myself. I crept to the window and peered out into the darkness. There she was, standing under the streetlight, her face pale and her eyes hollow. She waved at me, her smile too wide, too bright. I slammed the curtains shut and backed away, my heart racing. When I looked again, she was gone. But the messages didn't stop. You can't ignore me forever. I'll always be here. You're my best friend, remember? I don't know what she wants. I don't know if she's real, or just a figment of my guilt-ridden imagination. All I know is, I can't escape her. It started with a random click. I was bored, scrolling through Myspace, when I stumbled across a profile that caught my eye. The background was black, the text white, and the profile picture was just a shadowy figure. The username was Static Echo, and the bio was a single line. Listen at your own risk. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured it was just some edgy teenager trying to be mysterious. But then I saw the playlist. It was called Songs for the Lost, and it had tracks with names like Whispers in the Static and Echoes of the Void. I'd never heard of any of the bands, but something about it intrigued me. I clicked play. The first song was haunting. It started with a low hum, like the sound of a distant storm, and then the vocals kicked in, soft, almost whispered, like someone was singing right in my ear. I couldn't understand the words, but they sent a chill down my spine. I couldn't stop listening. I played the playlist on repeat, day and night. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before, and I couldn't get enough of it. But then, things started to get weird. The first time it happened, I was at work. I had my headphones in, listening to the playlist, when I heard something that made me freeze. It was a voice, barely audible, whispering my name. I ripped off my headphones and looked around, but no one was there. I told myself it was just my imagination. But then it happened again, and again. Every time I played the playlist, I'd hear whispers. Sometimes my name, sometimes words I couldn't understand. And it wasn't just me. People around me started acting strange, like they were under some kind of spell. My coworkers would stare at me with blank expressions, their eyes glazed over. My friends would say things that didn't make sense, their voices flat and emotionless. Even my dog started acting weird, growling at nothing and refusing to come near me. I tried to stop listening to the playlist, but I couldn't. It was like it had a hold on me, pulling me back every time I tried to walk away. Then, one night, I heard something that made my blood run cold. I was lying in bed, the playlist playing softly in the background, when I heard it. A voice, clear as day, whispering in my ear. You're one of us now. I sat up, my heart pounding, and looked around the room. It was empty. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed me everywhere, growing louder and more insistent. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think. I was losing my mind. I tried to delete the playlist, but it was like it was cursed. Every time I removed it, it would reappear, like it was taunting me. Then, one night, I saw it. I was sitting at my computer, the playlist playing softly in the background, when I noticed something in the corner of the screen. It was a shadow, moving slowly, creeping closer. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The shadow grew larger, darker, until it filled the screen. And then, it spoke. You can't escape. I slammed my laptop shut and backed away, my hands shaking. But the whispers didn't stop. They're still here, even now, as I write this. I don't know what they want. I don't know if they're real or just in my head. All I know is I can't escape them. I've always been careful online. I don't post personal details, I don't share my location, and I definitely don't add strangers. So when I found a profile that looked exactly like me, I didn't know what to think. It was late, and I was scrolling through Myspace, bored out of my mind, when I stumbled across it. The profile picture was me, same hair, same smile, same freckles. But it wasn't a photo I'd ever taken. I clicked on the profile, my heart pounding. The username was Mirror Me, and the bio was a single line. I'm you, but better. I told myself it was just a prank. Someone had found my photos online and made a fake profile to mess with me. But then I saw the updates. The first one was posted a week ago. Had the worst day today. Failed my math test and got into a fight with my mom. My stomach dropped. That had happened to me exactly a week ago. The next update was even worse. Can't stop thinking about what happened at the party last night. I wish I could take it back. I hadn't told anyone about the party. Not even my best friend. I tried to block the profile, but it didn't work. Every time I deleted it, it would reappear, like it was mocking me. Then, the messages started. You can't ignore me forever. I know everything about you. I'm always watching. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then, one night, I saw her. I was walking home from a friend's house, my headphones in, when I noticed someone following me. I turned around, and there she was, my doppelganger, standing under the streetlight, her face pale and her eyes hollow. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. She smiled at me, her lips curling into a cruel grin, and then she was gone. But the updates didn't stop. You can't escape me. I'm you, but better. I'll always be here. I don't know what she wants. I don't know if she's real or just a figment of my imagination. All I know is, I can't escape her.